And good morning. Happy Saturday to everybody, and to Friday, those who are joining us from other parts of the world. Today we're going to be talking about value, where you doubt your value. So this is a topic I see coming up a lot in my coaching, and it was something that I had to really work on as well. It's where we doubt our value, and in doubting our value, what we do is that we hold ourselves back from our brilliance, from being able to step into the true essence of what we do, because the money that we make is just a reflection of that value. So, good morning to everybody who is here, and morning, Debbie. Lovely to see you here. I love those photos that you posted too, Debbie, on your trip to Canberra. That was great. So today we're going to be talking, as I said, about value, and this is something I think intrinsic seems to happen more so for many women than it does for men, and it's all about honoring your value, and the outcome is the abundance in your life, being able to manifest abundance in your life. So we're going to go through a number of things. Again, we're going to finish this right on 8 o'clock, top of the hour. We're going to end up with a tapping session, and we're going to actually tap on how to raise your prices or your confidence around the amount of money you can possibly make. So we're going to finish with that today. Morning, Helen. Good morning. So I'm going to ask this question of you, and I want you, as again, most of what today is going to be all about is very introspective, as it always is. These questions, some of these are going to relate to you, and depending on what you're doing. So if you are in a business where you have to, where sales, that your income is based on sales. So kind of some of the words we're going to use, you just relate that to yourself. If you're in, morning, Sandy, warning. Lovely to have you here from Charleville. So how you value yourself in your business. If you're employed, we're going to look at how does your value impact on what you do in your business, and then we're going to look at a couple of other things that might be holding you back. So we're going to get started by looking at how the imposter syndrome, and we did, I think, in a Facebook Live a couple of weeks ago now on the imposter syndrome, and it sits quite heavily and impacts a lot for many of us. And so we're going to look at the aspect of the imposter syndrome that causes you to doubt your worth, and that often shows up in the superwoman aspect of the imposter syndrome. Morning, Michelle. Good morning. Now, the superwoman aspect of the imposter syndrome is where you don't feel you are enough. And so what you tend to do is that you do too much. You take on too much. And so that aspect of the imposter syndrome, when you doubt your worth, is the one that has you feeling exhausted. You're always giving too much to others. So looking at where you are in your life at the moment, how comfortable do you feel in your ability to say no to someone when somebody asks you to give of your time? So what you're looking at is how you respond to that aspect of you when somebody asks for you to do something. Do you go way and above, beyond what they ask you to do? You may be in, and look, this was my issue when I was working in the corporate environment, was when I was, I knew you were saying, I've got, see, but my hair is a bit funny and I can't get it. There's a little bit there. Oh, there we go. Got it. Because I'm back to front here on this thing. Got it. It was just driving me crazy. All right, let's go back. Superwoman, giving too much, not being able. You can't hear me. Sandy, you can hear me, right? Just make sure we haven't dropped out. Live TV has been buggy. Sandy or Helen, can you just let me know if you can hear me? Obviously, you can hear me and see me. Thanks, Sandy. Thank you, Sandy. Yeah, it was just a little bit sticking up. No, it's a perfection part of me. All right, let's get back to this. Superwoman, where are you giving too much? Where are you not honoring your value by giving too much? Hearing you fine. Thanks, Sandy. Hearing you right, Debbie, you might have to log in and log out again, log out and log in again. And it really is where you just don't value your innate brilliance. You think you're not enough. And we're going to be talking about balance giving and receiving in a minute. So we're looking at, okay, where the balance is, because there's a part of us naturally as human beings where we love to give. Okay, Debbie. Yeah, cool. We love to give. That's part of us. That's part of the generosity of us. But where the challenge comes from is where you are being left, where you don't have enough energy in that balanced giving and receiving. Because how balanced giving and receiving works is that if you give your energy and then there should be a response in return. So if you're giving, but you feel good about that, like if you're donating money and to a cause and you feel good about that, there's a balance giving and receiving. There's an element of kindness and generosity. But if you're giving and there's no receiving, it's just you're at the end of the line all the time. It's like you're not being taken care of. That's when the balance is out, and that's when you need to look at the value, where your value is, what you value of yourself. So the superwoman syndrome impacts on you then when you just don't feel you're enough. I'm an imposter. What makes me think people are going to listen to me? What makes me think I'm so special? What makes me think I can be of value to others? That's the imposter syndrome. And that's where you feel that low in energy. The next part of valuing, and I'm going to shift here a little bit, and this is really for those of you who are in business or where it involves asking for a sale. If you're in direct selling, if you are in a service environment, it's where you feel uncomfortable asking for a sale. And where to go looking for this is, what were you told about asking questions as a child? Now, did you grow up in a house where it was children are to be seen and not heard? In my house, it was don't ask. Yeah. Louise, we all do. And, I'm going to share this about the sales, but I just want to jump in what Louise was talking about. This is something I've had to work on a lot. I think I mentioned to you on another call that imposter syndrome for me really showed up when I ended up having to walk out of my corporate job, adrenal fatigue, and I was absolutely done. This has taken, 4 or 5 years now for me to get to this point where I really, interesting, Debbie. Everybody else can see, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. Maybe if you can log into another machine, maybe, I don't know. But, as I said, Live TV is a bit buggy at the moment, so it could be that. So, so it's something I had to really overcome. One of the things I did look at was my parents or my mother used to say it's rude to ask too many questions. People don't like you to ask too many questions. And that was something that I discovered actually in one of my tapping sessions when I was tapping on ages ago, when I was tapping on my fear around sales, was that came up to me. I remember her saying that to me once. It's very rude to ask too many questions. I don't know. I was a really, I think as kids we all are, around about 4 or 5, we want to know how the world works. Just a spinning wheel. Interesting, isn't it? So other people are in. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I'll keep on going because, I'm not, as I said, I have no idea what's going on here. Interesting. Okay, so, so what were you told about asking questions about when you were a child? What did your parents tell you about salespeople? What did they tell you about the caliber of a salesperson? And what do they think about car salespeople? Oh, good. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Helen. Yeah, thanks, Sandy. Deb, try your phone. Janet, try your phone. I have to watch the replay. Yeah. Okay. Don't ask. Yeah, what was that, Louise? Don't ask for things. Oh, that's a good one. Don't ask for things you need. It makes others people uncomfortable. Whoa, that's really cool. Isn't it interesting how when you just delve into these questions, you can start to see where this sits. Don't ask for things you need. It makes others uncomfortable. Yeah, wow. Something just twigged for me then. I might have to have a look at that. I might have to. That's a really good one, Louise. Fantastic find. Okay. What do you think and feel about real estate agents and salespeople? Anybody else's job involves sales? Now, for me, I'm married to a commercial real estate agent. So I get a real, Helen, yeah, salespeople are seen at the bottom of the rung. Interesting, isn't it? See, all that stuff, sits within us when we come to having to ask for money or ask for a sale. That stuff just runs in that amygdala. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Sandy, mine was seen and not heard, but I actually tapped on it. Yeah. Big time. Seen and not heard. That's a really good one. Absolutely. Do you know, it's interesting, Sandy, and I think that's really our generation. We're seen and not heard. We used to say that, we heard that all the time. And don't interrupt adults was another one of us. Go outside and play. We're having adult conversation. Whatever that was just, my mother's way of getting rid of 5 kids. Go outside and play. Having adult conversations. Interesting. Well, there you go, Sandy. Must have hit something. Now, cool. We're going to do it. We're going to do a tapping session at the end. So we'll clear some. We'll see if we can find some more stuff for you to tap on this week. So my husband's married to a commercial. My husband's married. I'm married to a commercial real estate agent. And that, it's interesting, isn't it? Because my father, we came from, salespeople, don't trust them, they're always out to make more money, blah, blah, blah. I have a real thing when I see people talking about agents and commission. For me, that's how agents make their money. And if you get good ones, I happen to think my husband's very good, authentic and honest, they are trying to find the best balance, always balancing giving and receiving. Best deal for the vendor, best deal for the purchaser, always. And because that's how they make their money. So when people start to get to agents, I always go to, interesting. There's an interesting pattern happening there. So when you're looking at salespeople, so when it involves you then asking for sales, that stuff kind of just sits there. And it really holds you back. It holds you back because it's about reframing this. In fact, because you're not asking for a sale, what you're actually doing is that you are providing a service for somebody that can change their lives. So when you look at it from that perspective, when you are you're solving somebody's problem, that's a whole different way of looking at life. And so we want to reframe all of this. How are you providing a service for somebody by providing your good your service, your product, your intellectual property? How are you helping someone? How are you providing for them and allowing them to change their lives? And when you change that way of looking at it, it's a whole different way of looking at things. And that's where when it comes to sales, to tap around all those things that you were told as a child about asking questions, asking for sales, what your parents thought about selling. And now I'm going to move on to the next point, which is really delving into what were your parents' beliefs about money that may be holding you back and you don't even know it. Because what happens is we unconsciously make vows to our parents to honor them, whether we agree with them or we don't. Subconsciously, interesting enough, isn't it? No matter what our age we are, we're always searching for our parents' approval. I remember when I first wrote David's Gift, and I gave it to my dad to read, I was really, I hope Dad likes it. God, I was 50-something, but I realized here's me still seeking my father's approval. And I have to, even now when I'm talking to him, Hey, welcome back, Debbie. I have to be aware when I'm talking to him that I'm not sort of still doing that, telling him what I'm doing and looking for his approval. But we unconsciously make vows about money based on what we believed about our parents. Now, there's two aspects of this. We can honor the vows about how our parents viewed money. Now, in my case, for instance, I came from my parents were very, very cautious about money. They came from, grew up just after the Depression and into the World War. So there was no money. But they both came from entrepreneurial backgrounds. And so before World War II, in fact, for my mother in particular, before World War II, they lived in New Guinea and they had an incredible life, absolutely incredible life. Lots of money, lots of parties, grew up beautifully, free. It was really that real empire at the time, they loved it. The stories I tell of us, my uncles and aunts tell of their time is just this blissful life with lots of money. But when the war came, they had to get rid of everything, and then went in to live in poverty for many years after that. But that fear around losing money was one of the things that drove my parents to be very careful about their money, and that passed that on to us, which is to, get a good education, get a good job, get a house, pay off the mortgage, save your superannuation. So that's where I came from. So now then I come in as an entrepreneur married to a commercial real estate agent. So there's this real sense of, feeling uncomfortable about this. It's a lot of tapping I had to do around this because it was really going against what was the vows I grew up with, which was be very careful of your money. I had to overcome and transcend that belief in order to put myself out there. And so we can tend to do two things. We either honor our parents' vows or we spend our lives rebelling against them with this fear that runs, maybe they're right. What if I don't make it? What if I don't get it right? How will they feel about it? Will they, I told you. There's all that stuff that sits there. So if you're struggling with asking for the sale, making more money, go looking again for, what was the stories I was told as a child? What did I come from? As I said, I came from a huge, big entrepreneurial background that lost everything. So this generation before me, my parents, my uncles and aunts, very, very cautious of their money. And then now I'm at the other end where I'm a bit of an enigma in my family, where myself and my brother have our own businesses. And so that's that can sometimes cause angst. You'll often think things like, is this worth it? What's the point? Those types of things, thoughts might come up in your mind. And the last one is, what's really important, I believe, more so than anything, in understanding our value, is to value your time. Your time is the one thing that is most valuable to you. How you spend it, who you spend it with, what you spend time thinking about. That to me is far more important in the scheme of our overall value. So it should be very careful and very mindful of who you spend time with, how you spend your time thinking, 86,400 seconds, 717 minutes, 1,770 minutes. How you spend those seconds and minutes, extremely important. But most of all in this, the most important thing of all this is your ability to say no authentically to those who do not value your time, or where you are giving your time away and there's no balance giving and receiving. We talked about balance of giving and receiving at the beginning. Your balanced giving and receiving. You can give of your time as long as you are feeling the energy come back to you. If you don't, you are out of balance. And what happens is that you lose, quite simply. So this week, look at where you are not where you're saying yes, but you really mean no, where you feel that you are saying yes to something you really want to say no to, but you feel you owe somebody or what they'll think of you. But it's to value your time. That's the one thing you don't get back ever, is your time. You can make and lose money. You can, start new careers, end new careers, whatever. But the one thing you don't get back is time. So looking where you're valuing your time. And, this is back to the 2 and 20 principle, where we talk a lot about, chunking things down, getting things done in that time, because that's what is so valuable. So looking at where you are spending your time. All right. How are we doing? Have we got some ahas happening at the moment? Just let me know if this is resonating with you right now. It's lovely to have you all on, actually. I don't know if you can hear, but we've got lots of noisy birds today. Woohoo! They're really very noisy. Nice to see the sunshine today. All right. I'm assuming that you are having some aha moments. I'm not seeing it. I hope there's a lag. I'm pretty sure there's a lag. That's the only trouble with this. Is a lag. It's just so when you type a comment, it takes a little bit while. Yeah. Good morning, Kathy. Lovely to have you here. It takes a little while for me to see it. So if you're typing things and I'm not responding, taking a little while. It's just the lag. We had a bit of a win. I must share our money win with you guys. Actually, we had a bit of a money win yesterday. We have where we live. We have our mobile phones keep dropping out, and we found out yesterday that the carrier we are using has actually known about this since January. And hasn't told anybody, nor can they fix it. So they are letting us out of our contract. They are taking our phones back, and they are giving us money for our being impacted. And yeah, we were extraordinary. Oh, yeah, Debbie. Do you know what? That is huge. I have someone I'm spending time with that needs to go, wow, this is a lesson. I want to just spend a little bit of time on this because this is really important. I had this situation happen with me a number of years ago. It was a group of people that I had to say goodbye to because I couldn't be myself. Yes, a bit late, but yes, and yes. And what first thing I heard you say? Good. What I noticed was when I was with these people, I would walk away and feel, and it would take me ages to pick myself back up. They didn't want me to change. If I changed, it was impacting on their world. And so the only way, and it was really sad, I still get sad about it sometimes. It was really sad, actually, because they were good people. There's nothing wrong with them. I came away feeling different every time. And it's a challenging thing to do. So, Debbie, I know it takes some courage. Just tap around that and how they make you feel. And just in your mind, avoiding the phone calls, yeah. In your mind, keep in your mind a vision of holding your own space in that. What's the vision? See if you can pull up in your mind, see you and your, how powerful you are when you're with them and how powerful you are when you're not with them, and see where the line is, tap around feeling comfortable about stepping into your own power. So I think for women, we do that a lot. We allow relationships to go on when they should be well and truly over. And the courage to walk away, it can be hard, and it can create some feelings of being uncomfortable. All right, now we're going to do some tapping now, because where are we? We've got a couple of minutes to go. We're going to tap on feeling comfortable to either raise your prices or ask for a raise, or feeling comfortable with the amount of money that you feel comfortable in making. So what I want you to do now is I want you to on a piece of paper to draw a line, and I want you to see the amount of money or that you're making right now, and put that right down. You're charging for your services, what you're bringing into the organization, where your current salary, then I want you to draw a line from it, and I want you to go to a figure that feels uncomfortable. So if you're currently charging, say, $100 an hour for your services, I want you to go right through to pick a number that you go, whoa, I'd love to be making that, but whoa, that's really uncomfortable. I want you to go there to that and write that down. Then I want you to measure your level of discomfort about that particular number. And we're going to start with this, the first number, okay? So I want you to be looking at that number. That big number at the end, I want you to just measure your level of uncomfortableness around it. If it's a 10 or 8 or 25, whatever it is, okay, put it there. Income, sales, charging what you're charging, or your salary right now. Okay. All right. So I want you to feel that where that uncomfortable level is. Again, we're going to be really attuned to the tapping, but aware of those thoughts coming up. And as those thoughts come up, you can drop them down. All right, here we go. Let's just start tapping. So even though when I look at that uncomfortable number, my level of discomfort is, I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Even though when I look at that number, there are memories that come to my mind. Who do I think I am? What makes me think I can do that? I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Even though when I look at that, what do you call it? Big, hairy, audacious number, it makes me feel uncomfortable. I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Okay, tapping. This uncomfortable feeling uncomfortable. That's a huge stretch goal for me. This uncomfortable number. This huge stretch goal. Feeling uncomfortable with that number. All these thoughts that come up for me. This uncomfortable number. Let's do another round. I want to reach that number. But it feels so uncomfortable. This uncomfortable number. I'm not sure why this is so uncomfortable. But I'd really like to achieve it. What would people say about me if I achieve that number? Do I feel of value? Does that number reflect my value? Okay, just take a deep breath and let it go. Okay. So if anything's come up for you in that, just let me know. But again, I've got some funny things happening with my BeLive right at the moment, so I'm hoping you're still on. If you can just let me know, that would be really good. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself. You got some real issues at the moment with Facebook, so hopefully they sort all this out soon. I'm going to assume we're still on. And I'm going to keep on going because I know you probably watched the replay. So this week is to be looking at all of it. Now, if you're having trouble with this, if you're having issues, pop me a, yes, still on. Yay, Debbie. Yay. Great. Oh, you're all popped up all at once. Good. All I hear is don't chase the dollar. Interesting, Sandy. I would look around that and just have a look at I'd be do some tapping this week. If you're, looking at isn't it interesting? Our biggest issues about value will show up in 3 areas: money, weight, relationships. And there you can go find where the issues lie. So something to work on this week. If you're having issues and you want to have a private conversation with me, send me a PM, send me a private message in Facebook, and we can connect. In the meantime, have a wonderful week. Enjoy this time. We've got a short week this week, don't we? Anzac Day. And I will be looking forward to getting together with you next week, next Saturday. Thank you for being here. I love my Saturday morning time with you. And have a wonderful week. In the meantime, lots of tapping. Let's solve this. This is about, we're going to like do a review next week, see how you went. Let's solve this. Let's raise that value. Let's raise that value. And you're worth it. It's just the way it is. You're worth it. And what you do can benefit so many other people. And that's what we need in this world today. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Debbie. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And I shall see you next Saturday. Bye for now. Thank you, Louise. Talk soon.